White House expects to see Mueller findings before they go to Congress. White House lawyers expect to have an opportunity to review whatever version of Robert Mueller's report Attorney General Bill Barr submits to Congress before it reaches lawmakers and the public, multiple sources familiar with the matter said, setting up a potential political battle over the hotly anticipated document. The attorneys want the White House to have an opportunity to claim executive privilege over information drawn from documents and interviews with White House officials, the sources said. The White House's review of executive privilege claims are within its legal purview, but could set up a political battle over the perception President Donald Trump is trying to shield certain information from the public about an investigation that has swirled around him since the first day of his presidency. Justice Department lawyers could advise him against certain assertions if they don't feel it's legally defensible. If Trump does assert theirs. While Trump's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani suggested privilege could be used to keep parts of the report from public view, the issue is up to the White House, not the president's personal attorneys. The Justice Department and White House declined comment. As the White House is bracing for Mueller's investigation to conclude, some officials describe a sense of anxiety at the contents of the report, even as they welcome the probe's end. A person close to the president's legal team offered some caution in a sign of the level of anxiety about how closely held Mueller has kept his investigation. But Trump, who spent part of this weekend lambasting Mueller on Twitter, does not plan to be blindsided by what the Justice Department possibly discloses to Congress and the public of the report. Instead, his have asserted executive privilege to prevent certain information from being disclosed to Congress, and attorneys representing the White House and Trump have personally indicated they could assert that privilege over information that would be disclosed to Congress and the public. During his confirmation hearing last year, Barr said while he did not have Barr has wide discretion under existing regulations to decide what to share or not share with lawmakers, but the issue could ultimately be subject to extended legal battles. Democratic and Republican lawmakers alike have repeatedly stressed the importance of transparency in the release of the conclusions of the two-year investigation stemming from Russian interference in the 2016 elections. Last Thursday, urging the release of Mueller's report. A source close to the president's legal team said the White House allowed interviews with White House officials with the understanding that claims of executive privilege could later be raised. The White House produced but Tuhey said it would be appropriate for the Justice Department to give the White House counsel's office the opportunity to weigh in on specific pieces of information that could be subject to executive privilege protections. Mueller's confidential report to Barr is expected to happen any day now. The impending release of the report has led some aides to the president to conclude Mueller was dropping his demand for a sit-down interview with Trump, which would be a win for the White House and its legal team. Indeed, many of Trump's aides view the conclusion of Mueller's tenure, which has symbolically consumed all but a few months of the administration, as a positive development that could allow the president and his team to move forward. That appeared to be Trump's optimistic view on Monday when he tweeted his belief that the report would reveal itself to be a sham. Of course, the ramifications of Mueller's investigation are far from over, including the various ancillary probes that were launched as a result of what his team uncovered. The Southern District, most White House aides are siloed off from issues relating to Mueller and are preparing to move Trump's agenda beyond the border wall fight and North Korea summit that together consumed the first part of the year. Whatever issues the administration pursues next, however, will play out against the backdrop of a brewing fight over disclosures from the Mueller report. One White House aide said Trump's team is hitting the reset. Emmett Flood, the White House lawyer tasked with handling the White House's response to the Mueller probe, and officials have held meetings to game out the White House's response to whatever becomes public, a senior White House official said. To different scenarios, based on the extent of Barr's disclosure to Congress and whether the findings are exculpatory or damaging to the president, the official said. Those efforts have while the White House has tried to avoid commenting on the probe, that could change once the Mueller report emerges, particularly if it is exculpatory, a senior White House official said. The White House the investigations by Democrats are picking up pace and the White House is grappling with how to be both perceived as compliant with the requests while handing over a minimum of potentially privileged documents, aides said. This. As White House officials discuss the official response to Mueller's conclusion, aides are also mindful their plans could go awry in moments with a tweet from Trump, who has repeatedly taken to Twitter to assail the Mueller investigation as a witch.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.